Shalom from Israel. I'm Joseph Magen, founder of Kehila.org, also known as Kehila News, or KNI. So happy to join you by Zoom from the Judean hills, the mountains around Jerusalem. So happy to be with you, all our friends at Focus on Israel UK. Thank you for allowing me to present and share a little bit about Kehila.org. It's a vision that has been in my heart for many years, since I first moved to Israel, or a little bit afterwards. I immigrated from the United States in 2001, summer of 2001, so I'm coming on 20 years in Israel. Most of my adult life, I was in my mid-20s, now I'm in my mid-40s. So I came to Israel from America, and it seemed that there was no communication. I didn't know what was happening within Israel, even though I lived here among the Messianic body. And I would get updates from my parents who lived in the States through different various newsletters about, different events that was happening in my city, or different stories. So I thought, wow, I live in Israel. I'm part of this new community of believers. So by the way, Kehila means community or congregation in Hebrew. It's both words, community and congregation. So my parents would update me, and I thought, okay, wouldn't it be nice for the believers in Israel to also know what's happening among other congregations, not just those overseas? So that was the initial impetus for Kehila.org, was intercongregational communication. It has since grown into international communication to connect the body of Messiah in Israel with the body of Messiah overseas. And so that's the main vision. But the initial start was, hey, how can I help create almost like a local newspaper, I would call it at that time, like a campus newspaper through a university, to talk about what's happening. Because I saw that each congregation has their own channel of communication through their website and email list, but there wasn't any website or distribution channels covering the body as a whole. So the vision is really a body-wide vision. You hear the background music or playing, those are my children. I have 4 young children, ages 2.5 to 9, and number 5 on the way. So that's a little bit about myself. I could continue, but I realized that the time is of the essence, so I'm going to jump right into a demo of Kehila.org if you've never been there, and share a little bit about what we have currently and the vision and features we want to implement. So I will share my screen. So here is the homepage for Kehila.org. It says we are a faith-based online community portal for friends of the Messianic/Christian community in Israel, all in one place. So really that's the vision, to be a portal of information for our friends like you around the world to know what's happening, whether on the news front or just all types of information. So I have 9 different boxes here. Not all are in white, some are in gray, which would mean they are disabled. So the ones that are in white are Kehila News Israel. The first 2 is basically KNI. One is the news side, and the other is the blogs and the teachings. And then there's a directory, and then there's we say in Hebrew, Luach Modaot, a bulletin board, and that's for members only, a username and password. So the first 3 are public, and I'll go there in a second. But first, I want to go to this page about learn more about Kehila.org. And at your time, I encourage you to go here and see the 1-minute video. And here's really one of our 4 anchor scriptures. Just as the body, the one has many parts, but all its parts form one body. So it is with Messiah. So we're one body in Messiah, Jew and Gentile. And in the same way, we want to have a online representation forming that one body. And that's really the vision of Kehila.org. And it's really, if you put it in a picture, Kehila.org is just a platform. We're trying to assemble an online audience, no different than in a physical stadium where you have a physical audience and then you have a physical stage. It's trying to create an online audience of 50, 100, 200, 500, 1 million people, of which the body of Messiah is on the stage. And so in a physical event, one pastor can get on the stage and get off the stage, and another pastor can get on the stage, and the stage is neutral, right? So the stage doesn't take responsibility for the teachings or the opinions of each speaker, and that's the vision of Kehila.org, to be a neutral place for the body of Messiah across denominations. If you listen to the 1-minute video, it says we are one body made up of many congregations, languages, and backgrounds. And so the goal is to really be a representation of one body, many parts. Hasn't been easy. It's nice to talk about unity and we're all one big happy family, but to be honest, it's a challenge to do. I'm sure those who have, those who understand, as we say in Hebrew. Okay, so if we go to the purpose, here's another anchor scripture: let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So this will be really the motivation of the site, that it is points people to God. Let your light shine before men. Men is the masses. Men is more than just your neighbor across the street. Men is the masses. So Jesus spoke many times to the crowds. It says over 100 times in the New Testament that the crowds followed Jesus, the crowds surrounded Jesus. And the Sermon on the Mount, he saw the multitudes, or the crowds, and then he spoke. And so this is also a representation to try to reach the masses. So one-on-one discipleship is wonderful, small group ministry is wonderful, congregational ministry is wonderful, but to reach the masses, it's really through the internet, through media. And here's the history. So it started in 2006 as Kehila.org. It was just the Luach Modaot, it was just the bulletin board. So this has always been a labor of love as a side project. 2012, I created a public version called Kehila.com, which was the directory. In 2015, I created KehilaNews.com, and that's when we established our 501c3 in the United States to start to raise some funds in order to pay writers, developers, graphics people. It takes, a media site takes people, and people sometimes work as volunteers for free, but often do not work for free. And then we rebranded everything back to Kehila.org in 2019. So it's been a long-term vision. You could say, I could say it's been 15 years from 2006, or I could say it's 6 years from the Kehila News portion. So it's been an incremental journey, and it still is a labor of love. Recently, we established a sister site called All Israel News. This has really become its own site called allisrael.com, where I'm partnering with Joel Rosenberg. So this was very, very weak section here, but now it's very strong in terms of allisrael.com. So it's one ministry with 2 websites. So there's All Israel News, All Arab News, and there's Kehila News. So 3 websites. So here's a lot of Israel news that, similar to the Jerusalem Post or Times of Israel. We want to be a credible, trustworthy news source from Israel for the Christian world. Our slogan is tracking news and events impacting Israel and the Middle East for the world's 600 million evangelicals. So this is really has its own identity of hard news and analysis, and not really a mandate to cover the Messianic body. That mandate belongs to Kehila News to cover what's happening in the body. Likewise, if there's a certain story that's newsworthy, it can be posted on All Israel News or cross-linked. So So that is what I wanted to share. So thank you for listening, for your time, for your support, for your prayers. The media vision is definitely a minefield of spiritual challenges and spiritual opposition. So thank you for your prayers and support in this media vision for both Kehila News as well as All Israel News, because it's one ministry, meaning it's one non-profit with different projects. And I look forward to seeing you when the skies open to Israel and you can come and visit, and we can meet in the Jerusalem area. That'd be great. So God bless. Shalom. Hope to see you soon.